Hi everybody and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper. It's a really lovely sunny day today, so I'm taking advantage of the sunshine coming through my craft room window just to show you a couple of quick tags and a quick bit of packaging for Christmas. So first of all, I'm going to start with this Curvy Keepsake box. This is actually a retired die, but I keep my retired dies because they just come in so handy at times like this at Christmas. I apologise if you can hear a lot of noise. The children either side are out in the garden. I think there's a bit of an argument going on between one set. So I'm just using, this is actually my lasso tool, but I use it as a bone folder. I'm just using a bone folder as a bone folder just to curve the box a little bit. Yeah, would actually be better off using a bone folder. This is not really big enough, but it'll give you the idea. Okay, so for the box, you have to die cut 2 pieces, and then they layer up to give you your box. So what we're going to do is just put some glue, and I'm using Tombow multi-purpose glue because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room to line things up. So I'm just putting some glue on the bottom of one of the pieces, and then I can bring the other piece in and offer it up to the box, and you can see that glue does grip quite quickly, but it just does give me a little bit of time to line up the bases. Okay, so this is our box. Once it's actually put together, if you fold along all the score lines, then these little handles come together at the top, and then it folds over like that to make this cute little box. So I am just going to dress mine up a little bit, and in order to do that I'm going to grab, actually I would if I could get it undone again. Excuse me while I struggle with it. These things never happen when you're not filming, do they? It has got little notches on it to make sure it stays open, and for some reason mine has decided to fight being opened again. It's really not that difficult normally. Oh, for goodness sake. Only on camera. Right, there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly grab just a stamp set that's got some background images in it. And I'm going to go for the new Curvy Christmas stamp set. This is available to customers now. It's part of a suite. You can get an all occasions card stamp set and some dies, and I believe there are some papers and other bits as well. But we're just going to go in with this little bow, which is really cute. Put that on a block. And I think we will go in with the little snowflakes. Okay, I'll just put those on a block as well. Now I'm just going to do a tone on tone stamping effect, and I am going to use shaded spruce, which is what the cardstock is. And I'm going to pull in some Versamark. Okay, so we're not doing any heat embossing, but with Versamark you can add some detail. Okay, so this is the bottom of our box, so I'm just going to stamp some of those bows randomly. And if you can hear rustling behind me, my cat has decided to come and join us. We've bought her various cat beds over the years, and she never actually wants to sit on one. All she ever wants to do is sit on anything she shouldn't sit on, like clean linen or my coat, those kind of things. So I've just done a little bit of random stamping over there with that. So I'm just going to move that out of the way, and I'll clean that up in a minute. And then I'm just going to go in with these little sort of snowballs with the Versamark. And what that does, if you stamp with Versamark, oh, she's about to knock stuff down. If you hear a crash, it'll be why. If you stamp with Versamark without using heat embossing powder, it just gives this really nice sort of watermark effect. I'm just going over to fill in the areas that haven't got anything on, and obviously we can go slightly onto the base as well. I'm just going to put something up there because we're going to see these bits. I mean, obviously you don't have to do this, you could just leave your box plain, dress it up with a bit of ribbon. Okay, so I've stamped all over, and I don't know if you can see, hopefully you can see on the camera, yeah, there you go. So the Versamark just gives this sort of watermark effect, and that's the Shaded Spruce ink on Shaded Spruce cardstock. So just going to fold that back up again and pop that together. Now these little curvy keepsake boxes make an ideal container for a small gift. You can get a small pack of lip balms in there. So for instance, these little Nivea ones, other brands are available. You could get a few little hair clips in there. You can get some Ferrero Rocher or some other sweets in there. Just makes a nice little gift. I quite often make these to have on our table at Christmas. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to come in with some cardstock, and this is just a piece of odd cardstock that I had laying around, and this is the multi-label punch, and I'm going to use this side, and I don't know if you can see there are lots of ridges, so you can make really thin skinny tags or wider ones, and I've cut this at 1 inch wide, which should fit into the wider one. So we're just going to feed it in. Now ordinarily when I use our punches I turn them upside down, but this one's a bit heavy, so it does need a little bit of persuasion. Yep, and I obviously didn't get that in the right place, did I? So let's try again. I think it's going to be one of those days today. Right, there we go. So push it right back as far as it'll go. Try and keep it in the lines. There we go. That's better. And it just gives you this nice little edge on there, which we're going to use to make a tag. And then I've gone ahead and I've used the bow again out of this Curvy Christmas set, this bow here. It's the same one that I used to stamp over the box. Now, my lovely friend Ruth Blackett, who is crafting for friends, showed us this tip on her Facebook Live a few nights ago. So I have gone ahead and stamped 4 of the bows, and I've fussy cut them. Unfortunately, there isn't a die for the bow. There are dies with that set, but I don't think there's one for the bow, and it's really quick to fussy cut anyway. And I'm just going to add a little bit of wet glue to the middle, and be careful not to put too much. And we're going to overlap 2. I think most of you can probably see where I'm going with this. And then we're going to add in a 3rd one. And then we're going to add in the 4th one. And you can see you get that really nice little rosette, like a present bow. And then just to finish that off, I'm just going to grab a gem. My trusty take your pick tool without the sticky end on here. And I'm just going to pop a little gem into the middle of that little rosette. Okay. Oh goodness me, things have fallen down all over the place in my craft room. An avalanche of ribbon and various other things. So then what I'm going to do is that we're going to trim this down. So I'm just going to grab my mini trimmer, as we don't want it to be too long. I'm just going to trim that down. And then I am going to use some wet glue to stick this onto our tag. So there you go, you've got a nice little gift tag there. It just needs a little hole in there and some twine or some ribbon, and that will hang quite nicely on there. I'm just going to grab some of our thin ribbon. This ribbon was part of one of our product suites and unfortunately isn't the same green, but I think we can get away with it. And I'm just going to grab my hole punch, which the cat is now possibly sitting on. Where did I put it? Right, okay, not sure where I put the hole punch, so I'm just going to use the pokey tool actually, just to push a hole in. Okay, in there, just so we can get our ribbon through. And you can use the pokey tool to help push the ribbon through as well. There we go. Pop that out of the way so I don't stab myself. The way my day is going, that's highly likely. And then we can just slide that through the handle of our little box. And tie that on. And I am rubbish at doing bows on camera. Excuse me, I'm just going to have to take that out of shot to keep it still because it hasn't got anything in it. It's not got any weight to it, which makes it hard to stop it skidding all over my desk. Oh, for goodness sake, Julia. Honestly. Oh, there we go, finally. There we go. So I've just tied a little bow. So we've got our little rosette made of that ribbon stamp on just a little piece of scrap design series paper and our little curvy keepsake box with a little bow on. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. And then the next thing, in the North Pole dies, I get this really nice tag which has got this really nice stitched serrated effect on the edge. And all I've done with that, I've taken our Gnome for the Holidays set and I've stamped one of the little gnomes and I've coloured him with our blends pens and cut him out. Again, unfortunately, there is no dies for that stamp set, but it's reasonably easy to fussy cut. I find fussy cutting quite therapeutic, and I'm just going to pop a couple of dimensionals on the back of him. Now I'll put one large dimensional on his body, but I'm going to go for a small dimensional for the top of his hat. Where did it go? Oh, I seem to have grabbed the top off the dimensional and not the actual dimensional. Oh dear, I think maybe I'll have to go back to bed. Okay, so we're just going to take those dimensionals off there. Now you could, if you wanted to, layer up a piece of cardstock. Obviously this is not wide enough. And actually I think we will do that. So I've taken the back of those dimensionals, so I'll be careful not to stick myself to it. Okay, so we'll just quickly measure this tag, and it measures 2 inches wide. So if we cut a strip at 1 3/4, that should just give us a little bit of a border. Really need to tidy my chloroform up, it's so untidy. Okay, and then to get the length, you could use your trimmer. But I'm just going to go in and snip with my scissors, and then just to follow the shape of the tag with those curved corners, I'm just going to take the corners off. It's probably not overly level. No, it's really not. Okay, don't do what I do, do what I say. So use a straight edge on a piece of paper to measure across, and a pencil, and we just need to trim that down a bit more. Oh goodness me, I really have messed that up, haven't I? Okay, let's try it again, shall we? And we'll use the tag. Okay, so if you lay your paper on the tag and get it fairly even, you should be able to use the angle. There you go, there's a little tip for you. Use the angle of the tag and then you can slide that down, and then it should be about right. Now you could either put it up there and repunch your hole, or you could slide it down a bit, and that's what I'm going to do because we don't want to cover that serrated bit at the bottom. I'm just going to snip that off there. Brush those pieces to one side that I made a mess with. Okay, so again, a little bit of wet glue on the back of that. Trying to decide which side to go for. Actually, I think we'll go for the lighter side. Otherwise, the colouring might not stand out on our gnome. Okay, so we're just going to slide that in there. Again, using wet glue gives you a little bit of wiggle room to line it up. And then we're just going to pop our little gnome on the top there. Add a little bit of ribbon, and you've got a nice little tag for your gift wrapping. Okay, so that's that one. And then for my last little tag, I've got another one of those die cut tags here, and what I've actually done is I've made quite a lot of cards that needed me to cut the edge off the full length of an A4 sheet. So that's what these tags are cut out of. If you cut the full sheet of A4, if you're in the UK, down to 14.8, which gives you a standard C6 card base, you actually end up with a strip slightly wider than these tags, so it's perfect for that. Now we've got our little snowman, and I am going to put some dimensionals on the back of him once I've stuck his bits and pieces on. So we've got his little hat here. Now you can colour that in, I haven't. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of that. If you want his hat to stick up above his head, don't put the glue too high. Okay, and we're gonna stick that on there, and you can see that that glue has come over, so let it dry and then I can get that off with the glue rubber later. Okay, and then we've got arms to stick on as well, so we want his arms to come out of the top part of his body because that's generally where our arms are. And I'll just put a little dot of glue each side on there. Don't worry if you've got a little bit of glue over on the back because we're going to stick this on the tag in a minute anyway. Okay, so that's his arms on. So there he is. He's got his hat on at a jaunty angle, and he's got his arms. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, as I said, you could colour it in if you wanted to, and I might actually colour in the berries in a minute. Right, and then what we're going to do is we are going to use a piece of this paper. I'm just going to trim that down on my paper trimmer just to give us a little bit of a background, and we're just going to stick that straight on. Again, I've used a bit of wet glue, and we're using the darker side this time, and you can see that wet glue just gives us the ability to slide that piece of paper about until we're happy with where we want it to be. And then I'm going to just add, you could layer up your snowman, but I'm just going to do mine flat because I've already got glue on the back. And I'm just going to layer him up over that paper onto our tag. And then just to finish him off, I'm going to grab a red blends pen, and this is like cherry cobbler, and I'm just going to give his little holly berries some colour. So excuse me if you've got my head in the screen now. And I'll just grab a green as well, just to give the holly leaves a bit of colour. Which, excuse me if my colouring's not great. Not only am I not wearing my glasses to colour, I have to get my head in the way. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring in the Wink of Stella pen, and we're just going to go round the edge of his body where if there was a snowfall it would catch, and the and his snowball buttons, and we'll put a little bit on his carroty nose, and then we're just going to go with a little bit on his hat. Okay, there we go. So again, add some ribbon or some cord to that. You can use some recycled twine. A lot of shops now hold on their labels, price labels with twine. It's always a good idea to save that for these kind of things. But garden twine or some nice ribbon, and you've got another little tag and somewhere to write on the back. So I hope you enjoyed that quick little video with our gift box and a couple of tags just made with leftover bits that I'd stamped, and I'll see you all again soon. Happy stamping!